all right.
All right? That's what you have? And Mike had the nerve and the balls to call us useless after 6:30.
No,
ladies and gentlemen, it is after 6:30. And you will see who is the main actor and who's the supporting cast in this podcast. This is the Leg Kick Podcast. Let me just start out by saying Mike is streaming live from the LRA underground base in the middle of the Congolese jungle. That's why his Wi-Fi is spotty. It looks like he smeared Vaseline on his webcam. Mike, what do you have to say for yourself? Sorry, we don't talk to Congolese terrorists. Go on.
If you must return to us 5,000 naira, or else this white businessman will. What's up, everybody?
We're here with the Leg Kick. We're back. We're like that. We're like that stepdad who came out for cigarettes and never came back. We don't have the cigarettes, but we have a podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and we want to smoke with cigarettes. Over here is my guest and yours, Michael Acifo, MMA fighter, broadcaster for The Edge 102.1. And
I actually did do a cup of coffee there, but that's another story.
You did a cup of coffee there. Well, that's nice. I'm sure.
I was there for a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah, for like a little while, but I was like an intern.
Like, you don't drink coffee, so I'm calling bullshit. Anyways, renowned coffee drinker Michael Acifo, and then there's myself, a man who's definitely not useless after 6:30. And
you took that to heart, didn't you?
Mike, I've been called a lot of things. Useless after 6:30 is not one of them. It's like Abe Simpson said, my boy Homer is a lot of things. He may be, but he is not a communist. All right. He may be a philanderer. He may be a drunk. He may be a communist, but he is not. And then I don't know what he said. Whatever. I trashed the bit. Anyways, we're going to get right into it. UFC 273 happened, and we like to be different here. So we said, you know what? Kamzat and all that shit. Fuck it. We're not going to do it. We're not going to cover it. We're going to cover the Vincente Luque card the next week. Why? Because we can, and because we will. But first, we've got news. We've got story time. We've got an interview with Shai of Dave Brand Jiu-Jitsu, who just had his BJJ Fanatics. When is that coming out, Mike? When's that interview coming out?
It should come out. We're looking at the middle of the week. I want it to come out either Monday or Wednesday. Why not Tuesday? I don't know, but
we're still waiting for it to drop, like Mike's reggae folk album. Mike, how's that album going, by the way?
Great. It's better than Soja's, so
it's like a mix of Bob Dylan and Bob Marley.
Man, did you see the Grammys, by the way? Completely off topic, but did you see who won the reggae album of the year?
I'm not exactly a big reggae fan, but is there some relevance to this?
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg?
No, it was the reggae community's in an uproar because instead of a woman who's basically been like in the past year has basically Spice is the woman, by the way, who's basically turned herself into the most famous reggae attraction in the world. Instead of her winning, a group of white guys won.
Well, that sucks. That sucks,
right? I mean, I'm sure they're lovely. I've never heard their music, but it got the reggae community in an uproar.
Well, that does suck because I know what a Grammy can do for someone's career. If it's anything like the Oscars, I know it's a complete sham, and whoever fundraises the most money essentially wins. So I wouldn't feel too bad about it, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm not really qualified to comment on the situation because I don't like reggae and I don't know anything about the events. But you got to feel for Spice, don't you? I mean, ever since she left the what's it called? Ever since she left the Spice Girls, everything kind of went down for hill for her. But came back with a reggae album. Jamaican Spice, yeah. My Bodman Spice.
All right.
So me go Salen. Yeah,
man. But you know what I gotta say though, back on topic, it was a pleasure talking to your boy, Mr. Shai Ace. It was a real interesting interview. Went a whole bunch of ways, and I can't wait for that to drop.
Yeah, please check that discussion out, guys. So there's a little bit of everything. If you like philosophical conversation about martial arts, you've got that. If you like just frankly insane stories that are true, check that out as well. And I can confirm that they are true because um, Shy is a motherfucker, and he. This is not the kind of man that bullshits around. All right, this is not Shoney Carter. Anyways,
Whoa, whoa! Why you got this our boy Shoney?
no, Shoney's our boy. We love Shoney. Although and his tenuous relationship with the truth. Um, well, check it out. Check out the interview. It drops later on. We've got at least 2 pieces of content coming to you a week. More if you line our pocketbooks with that sweet, sweet, sweet cam. Anyways, we've got big things coming. Next week, we're going to be recording this from a studio. We have our own studio. We are making the move into person since Mike's Ebola recently got cured. Me, Jeremy, and David are no longer afraid of contracting the disease. So, in person, Mike's the first ever survivor of Ebola. You know, it's got 100% fatality rate.
I also gotta say, we did yesterday. We did out of that stream, out of that studio. Me, Jeremy did a live stream for the Spence and Ugas fight. So people who were a part of that stream got to see it firsthand, and 3 new subscribers as a result. So
yeah. Listen, Mike. You don't know shit about boxing, okay? You want to cover Ugas Spence? You better have our boxing correspondent Jeremy in there, okay? All right. Thank you, Jeremy. So, with that being said, we get into some news and views of the week. Let's go. Let's go, Mike. Let's go. Let's go, the baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You ready?
Transition? Yeah. Hold on.
Can I get a transition?
Yeah.
So, what were you going to say something first?
No. I was going to say, are we transitioning? Are we doing
Cue
that?
Us up, Mike. Cue us up. Let's go. Cue us up for
the
transition.
Transition.
All right. Let's get into the news and views of the week.
All right. What do you have for us there?
What do I have for you? Ask not what your podcast can do for you, but what you can do for your podcast.
Hey, there it is.
Mike, what president said that?
John F. Kennedy.
No, but John F. Kennedy didn't mention podcasts as they didn't exist at the time. I said that just now. Anyways, first piece of news. Now, let's try and keep this this news segment under 10, 15 minutes, shall we, Mike?
Yes, sir.
First off, retirement alert. Marlon Moraes hanging up the gloves, not just from the UFC, but from MMA more generally. On a 4-fight losing skid, 5 if you can count that Aldo fight, I believe. Shit, man, this is one of the most precipitous, meteoric declines that I've seen. And at one point, things were going well for him, and at one point, I think after that Henry Cejudo fight, they just stopped going well for him. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, good to see him hanging up. I'm a big Marlon Moraes fan. Thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, no, I think it was about time. I think it was about time 2 fights ago, but he just didn't look the same anymore. You know?
Yeah, he didn't look the same, and he kept losing to a lower and lower level of competition. You know, first it's your Merab Dvalishvilis, and then it's your Song Yadongs, and then I think at that point it's difficult. And, you know, this is a man that has a win over the current champion of the division, Aljamain Sterling, by a vicious head kick knockout. So it just goes to show you how quickly things can change in MMA. One moment you're on top, and the next minute you are retiring, but great career. Had a great career within the World Series of Fighting, one of the best left head kicks, in the game.
He could just step that thing up and it just smack you across the head.
But a real front runner in the truest sense of the word, and someone who clearly their physical body was failing them. So,
yeah. But, you know, like, I think that's the thing, you know, with Marlon Moraes, and I think Tony Ferguson is right on the cusp of this, is that could they be like up and comer, just got to UFC, 2 fights in? Probably, but is that what you want to see them do?
Well, no. I'm not willing to write off Tony just yet, but
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they could definitely win some matches in the UFC. I think they're very capable, but they're clearly not at the stage where they can reliably beat the ranked opponents. And do you want to see them lose 5 straight to ranked opponents? Do you want to see them take on like Johnny Newcomer? I don't think
Fair
so.
point.
So I think it's one of those things where it's um it when you're an older fighter, you have to kind of decide for yourself, do you want to take on that gatekeeper route of coming into the UFC, or do you want to, you know,
And to be
maybe
fair,
call it?
some people take on that gatekeeper route with
Yeah.
excellence, like your Jim Millers and your Clay Guidas that
Yeah.
continue to win and beat back high level competition, kind of know where they stand. But so moving along, this announcement kind of slipped under the radar, but we've got Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira for July 30th.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh Interesting booking decision. Because that's shooting Pereira right into the top five.
Bit of a
In terms
step
of
back for
competition.
Strickland as well.
Yeah, and a step back for Strickland. Of course, everyone knows it was going to be Strickland and Rockhold, and then Rockhold pulled out, and so
Oh
Strickland's
yeah,
kind of
that's
been
right. I
looking
forgot
for
about that.
yeah, he's been looking for a dance partner. I don't know if Rockhold's been calling for a Vittori fight. Um, so I don't know what's going on exactly on his end, but I think this is a very interesting fight. And if
Vittori's booked
any
against Whitaker, by the way.
Yeah, Vittori is now booked against Whitaker. So sorry, it wasn't Vittori that Rockhold was calling for. He was calling for Costa. I
Costa.
apologize.
There you go. Yeah, weird matchup,
Yeah,
weird matchmaking, weird choice on Sean Strickland's part because the
but you
hardcores
know
know who
what?
this man is, but not a lot of other people do. And after his last victory against, was it Uriah Hall? No. Who did he fight last? It was an
Hermanson.
unentertaining. Yeah, his one against Hermanson. He's calling for title shots, saying that he's willing to try this and sit out fights to get title shots. And then he takes a fight against a very dangerous, up and coming, not necessarily ranked
But
contender.
I think the way they sold it to Strickland, who, like, in my opinion, and I don't say this for everybody, I think Sean Strickland is not very bright. And I think you can sell him on certain things. And I think the way they sold him on this one was, listen, this is the guy we're trying to shoot to Israel Adesanya. If you can play spoiler, you'll get the title shot next, which is dumb. It's dumb. But like
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
were to be like, a fly on the wall, I would bet that's how they did it. I bet that's how they sold it to him. And he was like, oh, yeah. And then,
I could see that.
right?
I could see
So,
that. Yeah, playing into his ego a little bit. Okay,
yeah.
moving on. Two more announcements. Two more announcements. This one's boxing, but Tyrone Spong taking on Andy Ruiz.
Another interesting one because Tyrone Spong, I think, you know,
Had a weird jaunt into Khabib's MMA promotion, but was a heavyweight title holder in boxing for a long time.
yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. Exactly. I was going to say for a while, Tyrone Spong did the damn thing in Muay Thai.
In
Sorry,
Mexico
in
City.
kickboxing.
In
In
Mexico City,
kickboxing.
by the way, this fight.
Oh, so he doesn't have to worry about the drug test. But
No drug test, but altitude.
yeah, that's the thing, right? But Andy Ruiz does. I think this is an interesting fight because again, like Tyrone Spong, if memory serves me correctly, he held the IBF. I'd have to think about it again. Um, but he did the damn thing in kickboxing, goes over the boxing, and everyone thinks it's gonna be a disaster, but then does the damn thing over there to
After
the
his leg
point,
injury, yeah.
yeah. Um, and if not for a drug test that doesn't go his way,
Oh, did he fail
you,
a drug test?
he did fail a drug test. I remember him failing a drug test. Um, if not for a drug test that didn't go his way, he definitely was going to be able to call his shot for some high profile fights. I'm not saying Wilder. I'm not saying Joshua, but I am saying like maybe a Dillian White or a Povetkin or something like that. So,
But Ruiz is kind of a household name after his upset of Joshua. You know what I mean? Not
it,
household, but like
people know him. People know him.
yeah, yeah. He's
So,
he's
sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say, so this is my point is being that this fight, while I do expect Ruiz to come away with the victory, it's a lot more competitive. If Tyrone Spong comes correct, is a lot more competitive than people are willing to. Then I think people are going to give it credit for. This is going to be, I think, a fight where Ruiz has to be on his P's and Q's, and Tyrone Spong always comes in good condition. So those later rounds too is not like a safe exit for a guy who's, I guess considered like a black explosive fighter. Just kind of
Black. Come again? Black explosive.
black explosive.
Like we
It's
don't get down with the racism on this podcast. All right. We are
no, it's a
one
term.
happy. No. You hold on right here. We are one happy, colorless family that holds hands and walks into the sunset together. And we do not get down for that kind of racial shenanigans. So if you're gonna start with this shit, you're gonna start with this black explosive shit. We're just gonna have to take an intermission, okay? All right. Sorry. What?
No, I was gonna say, you know what though? I really like the term because it was Jack Slack who I heard it first from, and I really like that term because it does explain like that high twitch style. A lot of those bigger athletes like to use.
Yeah, it's not a racial term. I mean, shit. There's Caucasian gentlemen that are black explosive, like Conor McGregor, black explosive.
Exactly.
He's black in spirit. And finally, final announcement. Big step up for a fighter that I'm a big fan of that's kind of flown under the radar at 170. 170, stepping up to be an interesting division. You've got our oncoming trifecta of contenders in, let's go quadrifecta, if even that's even a word, our foursome of contenders of Kamzat, Brady, let's go Michelle Pereira, and our final one is Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is just booked in against Neil Magny, who's ranked number 13, I believe. And this is coming in June 25th. Oh, that's coming up close. Well, big test for our boy Shavkat.
Yeah, no, this is Neil Magny, wily veteran. So whenever you face Neil Magny,
not black explosive.
not black explosive, definitely not. But whenever you face a Neil Magny, up until recently, which we'll get into, a Belal Muhammad, a lot of those guys in that Li Liang, Santiago Ponzinibbio, when you face those guys, who are wily, Jeff Neal's another one, wily veterans of the game, have proven themselves, are tested, are battle hardened. This is one of those walk before you can run matchups, as I like to call
One
them.
of Mike's favorite phrases.
Walk before you can run.
C. Walk before you can run. Set the table. C. Make the weight. C. Yeah, this is a tough one.
Best inside joke ever.
It is going to be difficult to see if Rakhmonov can, withstand the pressure of Magny and beat back the forward charge of Magny. Magny coming off of that fight against, he had a rather tough one on my birthday.
Yeah, I can't seem to remember which one it was. I remember it was a loss though.
No, he won.
Oh,
Magny won.
You won against who?
Black guy.
Neil? Was it Jeff Neal?
Max Griffin.
Max Griffin.
He beat Max Griffin.
Okay.
Yeah. Close fight.
Was it the fight before he lost then? Because I remember there was a loss recently.
He beat Jeff Neal, but maybe he lost. I'm not entirely sure. I'm no stand for Neil Magny, although I appreciate him. Anyways, that does us for news. Unless you got anything else, Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the titles Tyrone Spong won in boxing was the WBO and WBC Latino Latino titles.
That's one thick and juicy title, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oi, papi, es mi campeón. Cállate, papi, cállate, es mi campeón, Tyrone Spong.
I think those titles you'd see on a section on some websites. We'll leave it at that.
Where can I fight for this title? Well, with that being said, taking it from news, and we're just right back over here. We're gonna get into the fight.
The mic's over there, Stefano. Mic's over there, Stefano.
The mic is actually right over here. It's Mike Acifo, and he's my co-host. Hi, Mike.
Hey.
You ready to get into the fights?
Let's get to the fights. Transition.
Ding, ding.
Oh, give me a second. I didn't even realize that was there. Okay.
What was there, Mike?
Pants.
Unprofessional. What is it, amateur hour?
Yes, the answer is yes. I am an amateur MMA fighter. Not for long though.
Well, Mike, in the words of John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
I
So
love doing that dance.
the dance where it looks like he's floating, classic.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pull up the card that was, because we're woefully unprepared.
Are we?
Low energy, Mike. You're low energy.
It is 850.
You're Jeb Bush, low energy. All right. So this fight, this card had it was interesting. Had a couple of interesting matchups on it.
I gotta say, in terms of name value, not the best though.
Not the strongest in terms of name value. And my God, we'll talk about this later. But what a weird choice of main event. I have no idea why the UFC matchmakers will choose to be like, you know what? It would be a great co-main event for this card. 2 debutants from the Contender Series. Like, I really think they overestimate the pull that the Contender Series has. I'm like, Kyle, who? Omar,
yeah,
who?
I saw those, and I was telling to Jeremy, I'm like, yo, the UFC's kind of sort of becoming boxing in a way with some of these. And he goes, I don't know about that. And I was like, hey, do you know who Borralio is? And then he was like, I was like, yeah, exactly.
Well, to be fair, Jeremy doesn't know who Jeremy what's his name? Jeremy doesn't know who Frankie Edgar is, to be fair.
Yeah. Like Jeremy's MMA knowledge is like 2016 on.
Jeremy doesn't know who Joseph Benavidez is.
Yeah. Like he's very
Jeremy, do you know who
crazy
Anderson
too
Silva
about it
is?
is that like
Who's Anderson Silva? Who are you talking about? I've never heard of Anderson Silva in my life before. Is that some kind of regional fighter that they got coming up? Hey, Jeremy, Israel Adesanya, what do you think of that fight? Israel Adesanya. What sport does he fight in?
not gonna let you diss my brother anymore. No more Jeremy slander.
Hey, Jeremy, Francis Ngannou fight. Are you gonna watch it? Francis Ngannou. Is that some kind of boxer?
Hey.
Yeah, I love Francis. I think he's the #1 title challenger at middleweight. All right. Anyways, we've bragged on Jeremy enough. He's not here to defend himself. Anyways, in our main event, Vincente Luque, Belal Muhammad, putting on what looks like the game plan that he was trying to employ against Leon Edwards, except to a greater effect. And to me, he announced his arrival not necessarily as a danger, but as somebody who can stick to a game plan over the rounds. First couple rounds, I'm not going to lie to you. I was watching this fight saying, yes, he's scoring takedowns, but I feel like he's not really building to anything, where Vincente Luque is building to things. He's getting taken down, but I felt like a momentum shift was coming in the later rounds, given that the takedowns weren't very successful, and it seemed like nothing on the feet hurt Vincente Luque.
Yeah, it took a lot of chaining together, and when he did finally get him,
it wasn't spectacular.
Yeah.
But Vincente Luque is a Terminator, and to an extent that worked against him in this fight, in that he was able to walk forward through the punches and not have to address them, not have to take a step back, and then Belal would find himself under takedowns. Did a good job of switching stances, circled along the fence a little bit too much for my liking, but set up body kicks off of the open side as he switched stances. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I couldn't possibly agree more with it. I thought, like, what's the book on Belal Muhammad? As people know, it's pressure and activity, right? And if he can't do one, he's going to do the other, which I think is a testament to his commitment to stay to a game plan.
And he did neither in this fight, neither pressure nor activity. He fought in a way that a lot of us hadn't suspected,
Yeah, and I was going to say that, right? That's typically the book. So you're thinking, like, even though Belal Muhammad does tend to be a more boring fighter, just because it doesn't look like he's got a lot of pop, and he is kind of going for takedowns a lot without necessarily. He's more of this iterations of a lay and pray kind of guy.
He's He's Khabib in a lot of ways without the stinging power to his punches, I would say.
Exactly.
And a more active kicking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, this fight showed us, well, it didn't show us all of the um, it didn't impress me in the way that the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight impressed me, and that he was able to really force a game plan on somebody and use intelligent footwork to cut the cage and force this very elusive fighter into his game. There was no forcing. There was no hammer. He had to play the matador a little more in this fight. He had to skirt around the octagon. He had to wait for his opportunities to strike, take his foot off the gas and not be so active, not burn himself out, not give, you know, tone down the volume, because Vincente Luque will stick around in those exchanges where there's volume just so that he can hurt you. He's the king of the left hook, king of the cross counter left hook, king of the Darce choke. And while there were some good looks from Vincente Luque, some good use of low kicks to kind of cut off the footwork of Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad was just every round, it seemed like he was securing a takedown, shooting underneath Vincente Luque and using that classic hook the leg, TJ Dillashaw style double leg, which really stops you, I guess, from getting caught in that front headlock position.
One interesting detail I did like was what am I trying to say here? Oh yeah, okay. So the interesting detail I kind of noticed here was Belal Muhammad, his answer to being low kicked was to switch to southpaw every once in a while, which I thought was really interesting, and I think obviously is definitely one of the right things to do, especially in an MMA context where takedowns are available. And he would use that to build into a single down to a double and then chain some stuff together. And again, it's just a testament of how to stick to a game plan, because this was definitely not Belal Muhammad's A game, but he worked it, right? He made it work.
And that is a testament in some cases, seeing a fighter who, you know, maybe wasn't supposed to get this performance, and who stylistically, when I was thinking about this fight, I'm like, it is going to be difficult for the pitter-patter pressure fighter, Belal Muhammad, to find a way to hurt and finish Vincente Luque over 5 rounds, and he's going to have to fight a perfect fight if he wants to win. And while he didn't fight a perfect fight, he fought out of his comfort zone. Did it produce the spectacular result we hoped? No, not necessarily, but it is promising. This is kind of like
I didn't have him winning, so in my eyes, I think this is a good performance.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a comparable performance of a champion on their way up, or any fighter on their way up for that matter. Can you think of anyone?
I mean, there was there was a couple. I wouldn't say necessarily duds, but there was a couple times Israel Adesanya sneakily had to fight out of his comfort zone or play sniper a little too much, like against the Brad Tavares fight.
Maybe like an Adesanya Whitaker, number 1.
Yeah.
Where he took his foot off the gas and really, but even that doesn't sum it up, because the positions, I feel like there was a lot of less unanswered questions about Adesanya in that fight. And, but yeah, Belal Muhammad really let the fight come to him and fought to Vincente Luque's weaknesses as opposed to his own strengths in this fight, is what I would say. And that is promising, as much as the fight didn't deliver spectacular results.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't want a Colby Covington fight as he's calling for it. Like I really think that's a Hamzat fight right there.
Hell no, get Hamzat to the title.
Yeah, like here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Like, welterweight is so log jammed, and not by fault of Usman. Usman's just trying to Usman, is doing what champion does. He fights once a year, 2 times a year if lucky, and then that's out. But
log jammed, my man, there's nobody there at the top of welterweight. It's the opposite problem. There's no logs to feed.
Leon Edwards is right there.
And he's the only one.
That's a good point. That's actually
You know what I mean? Usman's fighting once a year max, maybe twice a year at this point, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Get him Leon, and then after Leon, we're gonna have to start feeding up some contenders before they're fully cooked. And Khamzat does not look fully cooked to me yet.
Yeah, so why don't you give him Colby?
But
So why don't you see, I love how we're talking about Khamzat in the middle of a Belal Muhammad retrospective, but
we're not in the business of killing off contenders, Mike. It would be the wrong thing to do. The appetite's not there for a third Colby fight.
No, hold on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
Belal Colby
Hamzat.
Vincente Hamzat. Okay. Belal, Kobe. And then the winner fights for the title. Or you know what? Oh, yeah. And in the meantime, we get in Leon Edwards to the title fight.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing, Mike. That's what we're doing. I'm calling Sean Shelby. That's what we're doing.
well, the
My
reason
plan
why
works
is
better.
because I guess the context to this, if I can explain, because I think there's going to be some people who are going to go like, huh? Why are they talking about Colby Covington and Hamza Chimaev? The context of this is that Belal Muhammad really wants a Colby Covington fight. Like, really wants.
Belal Muhammad at the end of the fight was like, Kobe Covington, I didn't know they stacked crap that high. You absolutely suck. Sorry, I'm just using Chael Sonnen lines at this point.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if there was a crowd there and he tried to pull that? He's like, Colby Covington,
You
absolutely
absolutely suck.
man,
I'm raising the stakes, Kobe. I lose. I will leave the division. You lose. You leave the UFC forever. I don't know. But yeah, no. I want to see more stylistic matchups against Kamaru Usman. I want to see somebody who is willing to push his wrestling offensively. Belal for me is more interesting as a contender than Leon Edwards. There, I said it.
Hey, that's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. It may be the wrong opinion, but hey.
Well, hey, if you want to see Leon Edwards get out wrestled for 3 rounds, then we can do that. If not, I mean, I'm sure, Belal Muhammad might pose some kind of threat wrestling wise.
Or we could see Leon Edwards elbow and knee Kamaru Usman on the way inside. But hey, listen, I would be willing to bet that you're right, but
I've been wrong before, my friend.
Huh?
I've been wrong before.
Yeah, but my point being though, in that Belal Muhammad, he's in the top 5 now. Like I think this is it's time, like with Masvidal obviously having his issues too, as well as losing, was it now 3 straight? And Vincente Luque was knocking on that door to the top 5 before this fight. I think in a weird and almost hilarious way, a guy no one talks about, Belal Muhammad, is in the top 5. I wouldn't say he's a shot caller, but he's in that range where fights like Colby Covington and Hamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards and
he's there, man.
Yeah,
He's in
they're
that
there.
conversation, and this welterweight division has really cycled through in the past year and a half. About a year and a half ago, we were saying, I'm not sure who's going to be able to step up to the plate. And now we're saying, you know what? There's a few interesting matchups on the horizon.
Yeah.
I mentioned a few before. Sean Brady, Michelle Pereira. There's a few creeping up there. And another one down the card who announced his arrival tonight in his second fight in the UFC, and to me looked very, very impressive against Caramel Thunder. But we'll talk about that in a second. You want to move on now to the co-main?
Yeah, let's move on to co-main. Interesting co-main.
Well, yeah, I just want to say about the matchup itself. I can't fault either of these fighters. If offered this opportunity, you're gonna take it. Yeah. Even one of the commentators, though, I believe it was DC, was like, Omar Gaziev was like confused when they offered him the co-main event slot. He thinks he hasn't earned it. And when DC says that on broadcast, DC, loves to fellatiate the UFC and their upper management. If DC is saying that, we're in a confusing situation. And what can you say about this fight? The two of them fought like they were debuting UFC fighters off the Contender Series, and they were. Omar Gaziev striking it was limited to an overhand right. Caio Borralho seemed like he was unable to really find an answer to that and competently counter-strike and just, found his moments on the feet. But
why don't more guys, this is my question to you. Why don't more guys block the overhand right into a left hook?
Man, because it's scary when that thing's coming at you. It's your UFC debut. Caio's got that high stance where he's particularly vulnerable to it. It seemed like his answer was to kind of slide out of the way. I think that's more of a very boxing-centric approach. And if he had a kind of like that low, hunched forward stance, waiting to, have you on the front leg, ready to counter off that left hook, I'd say that would make more sense. But from that upright stance, I'm much more in favor of kicking out that lead leg with the inside low kick, intercepting counters with a right straight, maybe just,
Or the uppercut's right there too, off the lean back. So like lean back uppercut, fade away uppercut. No, it's one of those things I was just wondering, because I'm like, even the guys who are low stance wrestlers who catch the overhand, who are seeing the overhand coming back the other way, they're not doing it. And it's like, wait a second, hold on, it's right there. It's right
Well,
there. You know?
if you're looking for the answer why it didn't happen in this fight, I would say it's probably due to a lack of experience. I mean, you know, decent records outside the UFC, but this is a UFC debut for either of these guys, right? And with these young prospects, a lot of them are used to more forcing their game on someone else as opposed to adapting to someone else's game, I suppose. And that's really, without remembering a lot of the specific details of this matchup, what it kind of seemed like to me. Kaio obviously out grappling Gaziev, which was interesting. And then I guess the one thing everyone's talking about, the controversy about this matchup, was the weird inconsistency that happened, that had us all scratching our heads, that happened in this fight. And earlier on the prelims as well with the Chris Barnett, Martin Boudet fight. I'm sorry. Yeah. When did a deliberate knee to a grounded opponent become an unintentional foul? I think Peter Yan's over here scratching his head. Mike,
what
in the fried chicken happened here?
What? That's racist. No.
But how's that racist?
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No.
Okay. See, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, people just hated Aljo because he was black. Because
wait a minute.
No.
Do you mean to tell me that there is a large undertones of racism in mixed martial arts, the predominantly right-wing sport? You mean to tell me that time and time after again, black champions don't get the love that they deserve? And you want to suggest racism? Mike, you must be crazy. That's the most. You mean to say that it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, sounds like a duck, and has feathers and flies? Mike, you're insane. That is clearly a giraffe, my friend.
Man, because you know what? When I remember when it was going on, and clearly, when I'm talking about the Jan Sterling first fight situation where the deliberate knee happens, and everyone's giving Aljo a hard time. I was like, this kind of smells like racism a little bit. I don't know, but I couldn't really call it.
I bet you. Here's what I would say. I bet you for I bet you for every bad take about the Aljo situation, which appears to be in earnest, there's probably someone dropping N-bombs in Aljo's DMs. So,
but the what I'm trying to correlate it to this one is that, like, everyone was like, how could this be a technical decision? That definitely should have been a DQ. Oh yeah, like the Jan and Sterling situation, like the situation you trashed like a year earlier.
At the very least, these fights should have been no contests. At the very least, like, I don't know, it just sits in my mouth poorly that the title can change hands due to a DQ. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck right up. Everyone's it sits in my mouth poorly that someone can win a fight using an illegal strike. That's what sits in my mouth poorly. Yeah. That seems like a little bit more of an injustice to me. That, Boudet can elbow Chris Barnett in the back of the head, or Kaio can throw a clear knee to the head of downed opponents, and we're over here scoring a decision, unintentional. I don't get it.
Dude, it was crazy to me. It was crazy to me because I'm like, this is the exact situation you guys like. You're calling for, this is the hypocrisy. You're calling for the exact same decision that got you so mad about Sterling versus Jan. You're like saying the win should have definitely went to Omar Gaziev. Yeah, like the win should have definitely went to Sterling. Like, what are we talking about here, bro? What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Like, I know what you mean.
I was like, what? And I was like, I give up.
Here's another problem that I'll give credit to Dan Hardy for this take, but In both cases, we saw, first of all, Barnett, the referee, came in and said his eyes aren't right. The doctor, excuse me. But in both situations, the fighter was rolling around on the ground for an uncomfortable amount of time. Now, injured or acting, either way, the fighter should not have to do that. If it is clear the fighter can't fight and it's due to an illegal strike, referees, what are you waiting for? Why are you so indecisive? You call the fight like that, okay? It's been 30 seconds and the fighter's on the back, lying on the ground, clutching their head. I don't care. End the fight. That's it. It doesn't take a Harvard certified brain surgeon to come in the ring and say, yeah, this guy who is crumpled over like an ant that you just fried with a magnifying glass isn't able to continue the fight. It's not brain surgery. Call the fight. Like these uncomfortable, save us these uncomfortable situations of having to call these fighters actors. Because quite frankly, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're 5% compromised, 10% compromised, whatever, you should not have to fight on if you're 10% compromised through an illegal strike. You shouldn't have to do it. I shouldn't have to sacrifice that 10% because that 10% is the difference between winning and losing. And I should not concede an illegal advantage given to my opponent. There. Does that make it clear?
Yeah. No, it was just my internal struggle in my brain. I was like, wait a second. What? But in terms of the actual act itself here, definitely intentional. DQ. It should have just been a DQ, and then you go from there, and
or no contest.
Yeah.
If it sits wrong, doesn't sit right with you that it was a dominant fight up until that point, give it a no contest. But you can't win a strike with an illegal a fight with an illegal strike, right? John Jones is sitting up here like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, that's another one. It was like, wait a second. The Nevada State Athletic Commission has been upholding this DQ win for Matt Hamill for 20 damn years. Okay, not 20, but like a long ass time. And John Jones is sitting there going like, what are we talking? What are we talking about?
Absolutely pulverizing John Jones up to that point. I have never seen someone effectively headbutt to the elbow, but I think John Jones's arms might have never been the same after that. So give the man the I've never seen someone pull mount and headbutt someone's elbow, but Matt Hamill was truly elite that night. Anything else you want to say on these controversies, Michael?
Yeah, no, I think I've said my piece. And we're definitely gonna get that one comment of how could we be racist? Chris Barnett's black, which is like kiss my ass.
Well, guys, you're definitely racist. You suck. You're racist.
Kiss my ass. Like
kiss Mike's African ass. We've milked this utter dry.
All right, we'll go to the next fight.
All right, so back to fights that actually might have some importance for the division. Miguel Baeza in an upset victory against Andre Filial. Andre Filial making his UFC debut last time against Michel Pereira earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And giving
really impressive showing against Pereira too, by the way.
Spirited performance, good use of pressure, really prevented Pereira from spazzing out and doing some of his best spastic work. And, UFC jitters are out. And I think in this fight, he truly showed what he was capable of. Baeza looked more active early. Baeza's always got very, very, very effective low kicks. But Fialho hunted him down, Fialho. And the finish was just absolutely beautiful. An inside slip to the jab or the cross of Baeza, I believe, and then just hammered in that left hook. And from that left hook, just was able to snatch up the collar tie, which I love. Left hooks to collar tie, land 4 or 5 uppercuts. The legs of Baeza went loose, and then that was all she wrote.
Man buckle.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I listen. I was really impressed with Fialho in his last showing against Pereira. And this is a guy who I think really has a future in the UFC as a great counter fighter or a combo breaker kind of fighter where, a guy he'll take, not necessarily take in like a bad way of like, oh, he's taking damage per se.
He waits for his opportunities.
He'll cover up, wait for his opportunities, and then
finds his moment.
Exactly. And lands with bad intentions too. Like he's really going for it. really says something about his style, though. Of maybe you could push him to gas himself out if you're fainting and stuff. But that's down the road. And let's be congratulatory of what he did here, which was really sit on that low kick, wait for Baeza to open up with his strikes and attack off of that. Open up with some punches and attack off of that. You know.
Yeah, and given how highly regarded a prospect Miguel Baeza was, given his performance against Santiago Ponzinibbio, where he just pulled defeat out of the jaws of victory, and I'm a Miguel Baeza fan, and I think Fialho, potentially has had one of the hardest debuts anyone has made in the UFC, other than that guy who fought Khabib.
Oh, what's his name? Horsher.
Horcher, yeah. Other than poor old Daryl Horcher, possibly one of the toughest debuts in the UFC, and then follows that up just knocking off a prospect. So I see a future for him in this division. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Oh, Baeza on a bit of a skid. I didn't realize that he got knocked out by Chaos Williams. I forgot
Oh,
about
that's
that.
right. That's
And
right.
3-fight skid: Ponzinibbio, Chaos, Filiao. But before that,
He was on his tear. He was on a little bit of a tear.
beat Takashi Sato, knocked out Matt Brown, beat Hector Aldana, and then had his win Inter Series. So, hopefully he's able to turn things around. He's big for the division.
I really like his leg kicking game too. I think what he could benefit from though is tighter boxing. But
Perhaps, yeah.
yeah.
So, moving on, the Mayra Bueno Silva fight stuck with me in that I thought it was a bad decision. I thought Wu Yanan has some of the shortest arms and most awkward boxing in any division. And Mayra Bueno Silva did nothing essentially for the last 2 rounds and won a decision and then celebrated like she won a world title. That was a bit embarrassing for me. But
You think Wu Yanan should have won as well? Like, because I thought so too, but I wasn't like hung up on it.
I
Because
think Mayra Bueno Silva would landed maybe two or three good strikes in the last 2 rounds, but just didn't do much of anything else. And I think with that level of activity, you can't win. And was Wu Yanan landing all of the combinations she threw? She kept going to the well on that cross hook. No, but
yeah,
activity wins fights. That's basically the story of this fight, I would say.
that's fair. It was still a bad fight though, eh?
Not a great fight, no. Not a
Oh
great
my
showing.
god. Like especially in division and bantamweight that 135 that has been slipping more and more with each passing year. I do there was a time where this was considered the premier division in women's MMA.
135 is women's heavyweight in
Yeah.
that it has times where, you have these legendary roster of just, phenomenal talent. And then over the course of 5 years, that talent ages out and you're kind of left with a shell of the division. But I'm sure at some point it'll pick back up. Look at what happened to heavyweight. For the longest time, we're like, man, heavyweight sucks. Now we're at a position where I think heavyweight's
There are
in the top
legitimately
3 most exciting divisions in the UFC right now.
and I really do think like there's fighters like Espinal, there's another kid
Talking about
too.
heavyweight?
Yeah, heavyweight.
Oh, heavyweight. I'll list them off for you, man, because I'm very excited for heavyweight right
Yeah.
now. We
Because
got
obviously
Aspinall, we got
Ngannou
Daukus, we got Volkov, we've got Tai Tuivasa, Cyril Gahn, Stipe still in the mix, scumbag John Jones, Francis Ngannou, and then even on top of that, we have people that are not necessarily top 5 or top whatever names I listed off, but you've got people like Jairzinho Rosenstruik that are always good for a fun fight. That is when he doesn't have, isn't paralyzed by inactivity. But Alexander Romanov, who's fighting
Yeah,
next
I was
weekend
gonna
against
say.
Tanner Bozer, like,
I like
man.
Tanner Boser's a fighter too. Like he doesn't always win, but
Or how about this Juan Espino, who nobody is talking about,
that's
and
another one, right? So like heavyweight has like it's not just like I get that the top 3 is way better than everybody. Oh, and Derek Lewis is still in the mix too as well. But I get
there's some interesting matchups there though. There's some
yeah.
interesting iterations there,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't even say top 3 is better than anybody because like we don't know. Like yes, there's Cyril Gahn, Francis, and who's the third in the top 3, Mike?
I would probably say Stipe.
Stipe. Can you see John Jones beating Stipe?
I absolutely can. But does John Jones really count in the sense that
Well, can you see Tom Aspinall beating Stipe?
Interestingly, not okay. I could see if they fought 10 times, Aspinall can win 2.
You could see a victory there, right?
Yeah,
You could
I
see.
could see 2.
Okay, could you see Tai
I just,
Tuivasa beating Francis Ngannou
no, hell no.
under any circumstances?
No.
If Francis doesn't fight smart and bangs with Tai.
One of the more not talked about things is Francis Ngannou's chin.
Yeah. It's
this man rolled over Jairzinho Rozenstruik, taking Jairzinho Rozenstruik's best punch, and did the Futurama arms flailing thing, and rolled over.
Arm flailing. He did the Bart Simpson coming after Lisa Simpson. If my arms happen to hit you, it's your own fault.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Francis Ngannou seems to be covered in
Teflon
steel plate armor, but because the fact that he's wielding a 10-foot long mace, nobody says anything about it. But it's true. The man possibly has one of the great chins of all time.
Yeah, it doesn't even stagger. You know what I'm saying? Stipe hit him with that twisting right straight that everyone knocked up. Yeah.
He jolted him for a second, but
yeah.
It was let's see. Okay, moving down the card. I have to confess, the Sabatini Laramie card, the dogs were asking to go out and I missed it. So
yeah, you know what? I didn't even watch it either because this was around the time that I went from because again we live streamed the Ugas Spence fight. So this was around the time where I had to leave my home to go to the office.
Couple unpatriotic Canadians.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a TJ Laramie that I actually got to see our prospect fighting series, fighting championship. So I'm familiar with him. But after the Lazez Luisa fight, I kind of was like, oh shoot, I gotta go because it's almost 9. But
so you know what? Let's talk a little bit about the Lazez fight and then
Clinic.
Quick comments on the undercard and then wrap this baby up.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I do want to say, though, I really hope TJ Laramie bounces back because that's a Canadian prospect and a dude who a lot of people were talking about. So
not many people find themselves in the UFC at 22 years old. But,
exactly. Young guy, too. So
we'll see. Yeah. Sometimes people peak way too early. Sometimes he'll be able to, they're able to revamp themselves, recover, and build from this. But 12-5 at 22 is impressive to say the least. But
exactly.
So Ange Lusa versus Munir Laziz. Ange Lusa, I was looking at his flag. I'm like, that's a cool flag. I've never seen light blue on a flag before. What is that? And then I remembered, oh, it's the Congolese flag. I remember I saw it with who's that absolute beast of a human being who fought Magomed Ankalaev at 205.
Oh,
that brick, Lugiambula.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I remember that fight. But Ange Lusa, very tough, able to hang in this fight. I feel like he suffered from not being able to recognize the areas of the fight where he was having success and capitalize off of him. For instance, it looked like Munir Laziz was not really addressing his low kicks very much.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, he was landing straight shots through the guard of Laziz, who often favors kind of like a traditional Muay Thai guard. But Laziz, good job of being first and third, mixing up ranges. He hit a very nice spearing elbow as well as a tomahawk elbow repeatedly.
Yeah.
The low kicks were there. The high kicks were coming in like lightning. Lusa is clearly a durable gentleman, but Munir Laziz just proving to be too much, too fast, too hard to hit. And when the pressure started rolling,
I thought this was a Muay Thai clinic. I really did. I the spearing elbow for me was the piece de resistance. That's why I was like, yeah, all right, fight's over. Because if you're landing that spearing elbow off of the slip, like the inside slip, it's like, that's one you don't land. Like that's one that's like, oh, okay, right. And I'll tell you, like, if that's a hard strike to land, right? Because it's a one thing to get somebody as a standing target and landing a spearing elbow. It's another to do it off of a slip. Right.
Yeah, and it's not like he was landing it from clinch range. He was closing about 2 or 3 feet of distance, landing that spearing elbow. So quite impressive. He's tall for that weight class too, 6'1". He obviously stumbled a bit I believe he lost his last fight, but he's coming on. Genuinely, I think he's coming on. And like our good friend from UFC 1, Harold Howard said, if you're coming on, then come on. Yeah, he lost to Warley Alves. That's right. But
Nothing to
before that,
sneeze at, though.
nothing to sneeze at. But before that, he has a win over Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
The Ghanaian destroyer.
He's defeating all the Africans. Looks like Kamaru Usman's next. There's not many more African gentlemen in the division. Who else is African at 170, Mike?
Kamaru Usman, I'm coming for you.
You're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your African ass.
That's funny. All right. Anything you want to talk about with the undercard?
Yeah, let's just quickly mention it. Briefly mention it, if you will.
Yeah. All right.
So,
one word answers. Devin Clark versus William Knight.
Actually missed this one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Landsberg versus Landsberg.
This is the other one I missed.
Yeah. Drakkar Close versus
Missed that as well. Sorry, Drakkar.
You know, I actually didn't get a chance to see it, but I really did want to see this one, and then I heard he lost, so I didn't want to watch it after.
Drakkar won. No, Drakkar won.
No, not Drakkar. Drakkar. Sorry, I was teeing up the Garcia versus Jesse Ronson fight.
Oh, Garcia Ronson. I caught about half of this, and I
didn't watch it, but
Ronson looked, man, he had his moments, but just not able to get his head off the center line. A little bit too willing to absorb blows against the guard, and then Rafa Garcia just able to take him down time and time again.
I've heard that Rafa Garcia has one of the fastest jabs in the division. Is that like a thing, or is that like?
I didn't see it in this fight because this was a southpaw orthodox matchup, but a lot of what he did was shooting underneath Ronson, taking him down and controlling from the top, and then he got the submission in the second round.
Okay.
And Chris Barnett said he wasn't feeling like himself in this fight. Lost to Martin Boudet, was just smothered, couldn't keep himself out of the clinch, and looked very human in this fight. Looked very human. Boudet, definitely a grinder. Jordan Levitt,
this is the other thing about this this fight. You know, I know we talked about the technical decision and the cheap and you know, and the intentional elbow to the back of the head. But the thing is, you know, Boudet did have an otherwise solid performance.
Seriously. Yeah. Seriously. He did have a solid performance. Looked unintimidated in his debut against Chris Barnett, who's done it all, seen it all, fought in Japan. But really able to apply pressure and not let it off. And to be honest, it seemed like Chris Barnett couldn't keep out of the clinch for his life in this one. Like he was pursuing it himself. And you know, at 5'9" at heavyweight, it seems like a round of cardio is pretty much the upper bound limit of what you can achieve, as Luke Thomas would say. But yeah.
And you know, I don't see why more heavyweights don't try to go into that 240 range. I know it probably wouldn't help Barnett in this instance, but like you don't need to be 265 to be successful at heavyweight. Like I just want to say that here. Like,
I mean,
you don't need it.
That was the conventional wisdom back in the day, but the upper end of the division would currently disagree with you.
Stipe's like what, 230, like soaking wet with mud boots on?
Stipe hasn't fought in like years, but other than that, it's Francis Ngannou cutting to 265. You've got Cyril Gane, massive human being, Volkov, Aspinall, all big boys. Tuivasa. Need I say more?
No, that's fair.
That was the conventional wisdom back in the day that smaller heavyweights might be, you know,
I wouldn't say smaller, but I also wouldn't say, hey, you know, you need to be creeping. Like, you don't need to be 265 blown up. Like, you know, 240 ain't bad. 240 ain't bad. But anyway.
And then finally, I'll just touch on the women's strawweight fight because Estela Nunes looked like a killer for the first two rounds. Honestly, she looked quite good.
Yeah.
She really was sitting down on her jab cross, but Very tricky, good use of angles. She did a few things where in the middle of the fight, I'm like, wow, that is the mark of an experienced striker. And it turns out she's a Muay Thai champion in Brazil, a Brazilian Muay Thai champion, rather. So I guess national champion, maybe. But yeah, I'm having trouble remembering exactly what she did. But
Yeah, she
Sam
just
Hughes
kind
just
of
able to weather
fade.
the storm. But a lot of promise, high ceiling. UFC debut again, I believe. So keep your eye on her.
That's the problem, right? The adrenaline dump too is like if she could just kind of slow herself down and throw that
Yeah,
one too. Yeah, no, I really liked what I saw out of her too. Like I was in that first round, I was like, wow, she you know what? Honestly, I hate to say it like this, but I remember being at the because I was at a friend's house when I said this. I was like, she's giving me Rose vibes, but with power. And they laughed at me. They laughed, and I was like, I know it sounds hilarious, but like
I, very different striking approach from Rose, though.
no, very different striking approach, but the idea of like straight down the line and the idea of like pivoting and footwork, I was like, oh, but she does sit down more. So Estella,
Interesting comparison. Yeah, she
yeah.
definitely sits down on her strikes. There was
All
a
right, well,
Bellator. I didn't fucking watch it, so I'm not really qualified to speak on it. You want to say a quick word about that?
um, I mean, I saw a couple rounds of the Pitbull McKee fight after it happened.
I'm hearing opinions split on this one. I'm hearing a
Yeah,
lot of people thinking it should have been McKee. I'm hearing other people thinking
right decision, but I that's the thing, right? Like, I think I've slowed down on the whole robbery and judges thing because I two reasons, right? I know we gotta go soon, but one, depending on what you value, even experienced fighters disagree on everything. So I think depending on what you value, you could really say McKee won, and depending on what you value, you could say Pitbull won.
I was one of
And
those. Eh?
yeah, I think that's fair. But the other thing is that if you're a judge, you get one angle, one look from like an anti view, and you have to make a decision in 60 seconds. And so to expect these judges to now to get every single thing right when they're not given a position of help is kind of unfair. And now I do think in Bellator and in the UFC, they do give them a monitor where they're sitting, so it's not the same thing. Like you can see a better angle, but I don't know, man. I think in this one, I think MMA does. I think MMA fandom just doesn't take into consideration like just how much different opinions can be on fighters based on like not just based on honest to goodness differing opinion. Not like, oh, I like this fighter, so I think he won. No, just differing opinions. And I'm not gonna go here and call robbery on this one. I think it was okay. I personally would have given it to McKee, but I can see the Pitbull.
Yeah, I mean, not every poor decision or not every close fight is a robbery, I guess. But yep, was
Yeah.
I've heard controversy around this one. Sometimes the judges get it horribly wrong. Sometimes they just get it wrong. Sometimes it's questionable. But anyways, I
Oh,
think that about
also
yep.
Anderson versus Nemkov. Anderson was probably on his way to winning. He took Nemkov down, was in side control, and then the headbutt happened.
Headbutt happened
Uh,
from side control.
yeah, he had him in side control from my recollection. I could be wrong. Maybe I can't remember if the headbutt happened before the side control, and that's probably what brought it on,
Oh wow.
or if the headbutt happened while inside control. Um, because they kind of stood them up to take a look at that the cut over the eye, and it just like it was too close. It was just way too close to the eye, and they had to stop it. I think it was an okay stoppage. It's just is what it is.
Happens.
Yeah, right. Oh, and one
Oh
more
wow.
thing.
Wait, sorry. So an unintentional illegal strike ended the fight, and it was a no contest. Interesting. To be fair, an accidental headbutt is more
You can tell when
unintentional.
it's an
So,
accident. Like the
yeah.
devastating effect is not the same as like oh a guy turns his back of his head and all of a sudden you know like it's not the same, right?
Anyways,
Plus, I think it was a closer fight. So like it's like that like weird taste in everyone's mouth if like let's say Anderson would have won like a technical decision when
How many rounds did this take place in?
I believe it was the second or the third. Like it my memory's hazy because it's Bellator, so like you kind of like just pop in and out as you're doing something else. Like
Wow. Mike throwing some serious shade at Bellator.
Oh no, I've done it like even before you were on this podcast. Like my respect for Bellator, it's getting better, I'll admit, but my respect for Bellator for a while until Giancarlo Alino started covering it was very low, and because these were the days of Data 5000 versus Kimbo Slice, and then Giancarlo Alino started covering it, and they started putting on some legitimate prospects on the card, and all of a sudden it's building, but still not there. They broke my trust. I'm sorry. But I told you my boy Daslan Yagashimuradov was crazy out here. Landed some great elbows.
Did he
on
win?
the way to
Did he fight?
TKO win.
Oh, he fought today? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yes, on the Bellator card. Daslan Yagashimuradov. I love that guy. Fucking crazy.
Well, if you love him so much, Mike, why don't you SSD? Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, we've been the Leg Kick Podcast.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Quick boxing update. Spence Ugas. Spence won in the 10th round by Dr. Stoppage because he lit Ugas's eye to basically closing involuntarily. Spence versus Crawford's probably going to happen next. That's a super fight. So yeah, I know Stefano doesn't care about that, but I just want to say that for all the boxing fans because I know we do have a large boxing contingent. That's a thing that happened as well. Okay, go ahead. End the show.
Guys, we are the Leg Kick Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We will be in studio coming up soon. We have big things coming for you. Mike says we're useless after 6:30. Mike is a fuck, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. But we got big things coming for you. We love you. We do it for the love, and we will do it for the money. So subscribe to the Leg Kick Podcast. Follow us where you can find us. That's Instagram. That's Twitter. That's various Chinese social media sites such as TikTok. I don't know. I don't know if we have TikTok, to be honest with you, but follow us on the podcast app. Subscribe, like, tell your friends about it, and stay tuned. More things coming. Love you. Bye.
And that's a wrap.
Well, there's not three things, Mike. No.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad. In this crazy mixed up world where these boys still are useless after 6:30, just remember, you got three things. You got family, you got life, you got family, and you have this podcast. Happy trails, everybody.
Family, friendship, religion.